In previous videos, we talked about the paradigm shift necessary to see the kingdom of heaven operate in your life. We talked about entering the kingdom of heaven with all you are and all that you have. We discussed your kingdom business assignment and how you go about determining that assignment and what the Lord was trying to accomplish through you and your business. In this video, I will continue to describe the kingdom of heaven and the role you and your business play regarding the biblical principle of stewardship. If you have been waiting for God to bless your business and your plans, then get ready for a paradigm shift because this video is for you. Transforming your business from struggling to success and from success to significance. Stewardship is a principle frequently used in the local church, but is seldom mentioned in the business world. Unfortunately, it is a principle often used to motivate people to give their finances and time into other people's ministries and endeavors. If you are skeptical of that observation, mention the term stewardship to most Christians and they will assume you're looking for their time or their money. This is unfortunate since the biblical principle of stewardship defines God's role and our role in this life and the one to come. Stewardship is one of the basic tenets of the kingdom of heaven. But what is stewardship and why is it important in the kingdom of heaven paradigm shift that we discussed in the previous video? Is stewardship a New Testament principle or did it exist prior to the New Testament? What does stewardship have to do with defining God's role and our role in the kingdom of heaven? In this video, we're going to address these questions and others. You may come to realize that it wasn't your business you were asking the Lord to bless. Psalm 24 verse 1 says, "The earth is the Lord's and all it contains, the world and those who dwell in it." The foundation of biblical stewardship is the tenet that everything belongs to God and He permits us to manage or steward what belongs to Him. We own nothing. That means nothing at all, even our very lives. Additionally, He promises to hold us accountable for how well we steward what He has entrusted to our care. The term steward comes from the Greek word oikonomos, which translates as the manager of the household. The word oikos means house or household. The word nomos means law or rule. An oikonomos, then, is the person who rules or runs the household. This was often performed by a trusted free slave who managed the household of their master. Joseph's role in Potiphar's house would be a good example of a household manager and how we are called to be stewards or managers of the Lord's kingdom. In Luke 16, verses 1 to 9, we see another example of an unrighteous steward or household manager. And in verse 2 of that parable, we see that the master of the house holding his steward accountable for squandering the master's possessions. One of the best definitions of New Testament stewardship and our role as stewards can be seen in Jesus' parable of the usage of money or minas in the gospel. This parable, where Jesus is obviously talking about himself, can be found in Luke chapter 19, verses 12 to 26. So he said, "A nobleman went to a distant country to receive a kingdom for himself and then return. And he called 10 of his slaves and gave them 10 minas and said to them, 'Do business with this until I come back.' When he returned after receiving the kingdom, he ordered that these slaves to whom he had given the money be called to him so that he might know what business they had done while he was gone. The first appeared saying, 'Master, your mina has made 10 minas more.' And he said to him, 'Well done, good slave, because you have been faithful in a very little thing, you are to be an authority over 10 cities.' The second came saying, 'Your mina, master, has made 5 minas.' And he said to him also, 'And you are to be over 5 cities.' Another came saying, 'Master, here is your mina, which I kept put away in a handkerchief. For I was afraid of you, because you are an exacting man. You take up what you did not lay down, and you reap what you did not sow.' He said to him, 'By your own words I will judge you, you worthless slave. Did you know that I am an exacting man, taking up what I did not lay down, and reaping what I did not sow? Then why did you not put my money in the bank, and having come, I would have collected it with interest?' Then he said to the bystanders, 'Take that mina away from him and give it to the one who has the 10 minas.' And they said to him, 'Master, he has 10 minas already. I tell you that to everyone who has, more shall be given. But from the one who does not have, even what he does have shall be taken away from him.'" Here are some defining elements of stewardship that can be exacted from the scripture in Luke chapter 19. First, the master, who is obviously Jesus, has gone away to receive a kingdom, but will return. We are called to put the resources the master has given us, minas, money, or talents, in Matthew's version, to work while he's gone. Do business until I return. The third is we will be held accountable for our management of those resources, good or bad. The fourth is those who steward their resources well and bring a good return are commended and rewarded. The fifth is those who do not steward their resources well will have their resources taken away and given to someone who is a good steward. The sixth is the way to receive more resources and more authority is by being faithful with what we have already received. And the seventh is the Lord considers money to be a very little thing. If we cannot steward money well, how can we steward cities for Him? Stewardship is not a New Testament principle, but has been in existence since the creation of man. In the Old Testament, we see God creating man and women and giving them dominion over it. In Genesis 1, verse 28, we see that the authority they were given to fill and subdue the earth and rule over every living thing that moves on the earth is a delegated authority. It is ambassadorial in nature. The Lord did not give the earth to Adam and Eve. He loaned it to them. They were called to steward the creation on God's behalf. Genesis 2:15 says, "Then the Lord took the man and put him into the Garden of Eden to cultivate it and keep it." Along with Psalm 24, Psalm 50 contains the Lord's declaration of ownership and lordship over His creation. "For every beast of the forest is mine, the cattle on 1,000 hills. I know every bird of the mountains and everything that moves in the field is mine. If I were hungry, I would not tell you, for the world is mine and all it contains." That's found in Psalm chapter 50, verses 10 to 12. In the book of Leviticus, the Lord gave regulations pertaining to the use and transference of ownership of the land. The Lord summarizes the law by saying, "The land, moreover, shall not be sold permanently, for the land is mine." This is found in Leviticus chapter 25, verse 23. The concept of tithing, which was required by the Mosaic law, was a test in stewardship for the Israelites. When the Israelites entered the Promised Land, they would be required to give 1/10 of their increase in produce and animals to the Lord. This did not mean that they owned 90% of their possessions and God owned 10%, but rather the tithe served as a reminder that everything belonged to the Lord, and He was the one who gave life, land, families, and increase to His children. It all belonged to Him. Tithing was meant to serve as a reminder of God's role to creation and creation's role to the Creator. Under the New Testament, many Christians don't understand stewardship because they assume that God is only interested in them and their soul. Many Christians come into the kingdom after hearing the gospel of salvation and not the gospel of the kingdom of heaven. They believe that God is only interested in their souls and everything else in the world is irrelevant to God. They give their life, or at least a part of it, to the Lord, but never give all they are and everything they have to the Lord. Therefore, their initial paradigm after becoming born again is that God is only interested in spiritual things and God is disinterested in the material world that He created. The next paradigm shift occurs when these new believers start attending church and are taught the concepts of paying tithes and giving offerings and alms. They now embrace the Old Testament 90-10 paradigm. If it isn't part of the 10% they give God, then it must belong to them. Part of their 90% would include their business. Even more dangerous than being a false paradigm, these new believers can start focusing on the principles of giving without focusing on their relationship with God. They may start giving out of religious obligation and look prideful at those who do not. They are now in danger of becoming a New Testament Pharisee. At some point, these new believers may start hearing the concept of stewardship, but it is generally focused on getting the new believers involved in their local church. They're exhorted to steward their time and finances to sow into local church and parachurch ministries. Their business is seen at this point as a vehicle that allows them to give their time and money to the kingdom. They now have a paradigm which includes some aspects of stewardship. Hopefully, these believers will eventually hear the gospel of the kingdom and realize Jesus didn't die only for their sins, but to bring restoration to everything lost in the fall in the garden. He came to bring the year of Jubilee to everyone and everything. He died to restore things to the way they were meant to be if there had not been a fall in the garden. Jesus came to restore all things and establish His kingdom here on earth as it is in heaven. In the second part of this video, we will talk about what the Lord expects us to steward for Him in His kingdom, along with His business, and how we are expected to steward it. If you have been struggling in your business and feel like the Lord is disconnected or disinterested in your business, then you will want to watch the second part. I will show you how to go all in order to get the Lord to partner with you for success in His business. Until then, be blessed and keep doing business His way.